permanent high tide plus a 100-year storm. And if you add those two together, it's 8 feet above mean high tide. So what's going on in that contour of 8 feet above mean high tide? We worked with some agencies, found some, produced some maps of that land contour. And then we looked at what was in there. And we were focused on future development. And this is just one piece of what we're going to be talking about today. But we found 27 mega developments that are currently permitted or under construction or recently finished within the last year. Residential, office, light industrial, entertainment complexes that total at least $21 billion worth of development costs on 5,100 acres. In other words, there's a mass rush to develop the shoreline right now.
If you're going to have a project, you're going to have to build the project to be resilient to mid-century. And you're going to have a plan, an adaptively managed plan to be resilient to end of century. So we're doing two things. We're both looking at our existing policies to see how they ought to change. Some of the restoration folks said they want to do some of the green shoreline projects, and some of the policies we had to prevent fill were conflicting. So we're going to look at those to see how we can harmonize these different goals. But we also really think we need this regional strategy. We can't do it community by community. But I'll just close out by saying that the Commission recognizes that this is, that planning is a difficult issue to address as a region, because all planning is local, but it has to add up to a regional solution. So we need to come up with a solution that reflects that reality, and also the reality of present governance in the Bay Area.
Mayor asked me and the Deputy Director City Engineer, essentially in San Francisco, to convene a committee of all the major city departments to say, what are we going to do about this problem? And we produced in March of this year an action plan. This is a very different kind of phenomenon than we've ever faced as a society before. And we can't simply just turn this over to local public works departments and have them figure it out, build a wall or whatever. If you think about another part of the complexity here is that the shoreline in San Francisco is very varied. It's not the same all the way around, so it calls for design thinking that is also varied. But the use of the shoreline is also very varied, and this is true throughout the Bay Area. So public access is a big value. Ecological enhancement is a big value, right? Protection of the inland resources is a big value. These can either conflict or can be designed into a solution that solves for all of those things. And simply turning it over to an agency that knows how to build a street or how to build a sewer probably isn't the way to do this. So we've actually called for an international design challenge to work with local designers, local agencies, local communities to really come up with some pretty imaginative, inspired, but also implementable designs.
They're giving us about $4 billion worth of services a year right now, just in the 9 counties of the Bay Area. And if we restore all the ones we want to restore, it might be about $8 billion worth of services. So they help clean the water, they provide flood protection, which is really important. They knock down waves so that the levee that you need to build against sea level rise behind the wetland is much smaller than if you have no wetland. They produce a lot of food. That's why San Francisco Bay used to have such a rich fisheries. We had all these wetlands that were feeding the fish and the shellfish that were in the bay. And they're wonderful places to recreate. And we have actually are a biodiversity hotspot here in California. We have lots of endangered species in these marshes. So there's a lot of reasons to get them back, and one of the big ones is it might be cheaper than building these big rigid structures and then trying to update them all the time as sea level rise gets higher and higher.
So it's a $12 per parcel per year tax in all of the 9 Bay Area counties, and it will last for 20 years. And over that 20-year period, it will raise about $500 million for wetlands restoration projects. Projects are in every single county. They have to be in every county. And there's a list of projects on the Restoration Authority website that have already been identified as the kinds of projects that will be eligible for funding. Nothing has been earmarked at this point, but there are a lot of projects that are more or less what we call shovel ready, that have been sort of waiting around and They just haven't had that funding for years to do the work. So this new pot of money will help accelerate a lot of the tidal marsh restoration.